Welcome to HomeFront Sitrep. I hope you're in for a great show today because I'm just a veteran talking about what's on my mind and maybe yours.
You can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also check out HomeFront Sitrep's YouTube channel.
Buckle up, the show is starting.
Out on the edge of the battle and back, we've carried the weight and we've walked every track. From desert dust to the fire at home, we've learned how to fight, how to stand alone. But no one tells you what comes after the war, when silence is louder than the guns we bore. That's where we speak, that's where we heal, with stories too real for Hollywood reels. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, when warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the fallen, the fighting, and those who came home. For the brothers and sisters who still feel alone. We're holding the line with truth and respect. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. It ain't all medals and waving flags. There's pain in the silence and weight in the bags. But we've got a mic and a mission to share, to tell the damn truth, cause somebody's gotta care. We laugh, we cry, we cuss, we pray. We honor the ones who ain't here today. From basic to battle and back to the block. This is our rhythm, our round table talk. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, when warriors to battle just differently. This is our check-in, our voice, our step. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Still heavy in dreams out of reach, for the lessons the textbooks could never teach. We're sounding off, no filter, no prep. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. So if you're born with boots or love someone who did, if you swallowed your hurt and kept it all hid, pull up a chair, you're not alone. Welcome to the front lines you don't always see, where courage meets scars and raw honesty. This is our anthem, our truth intercept. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. For the ones still standing and those we've lost yet, for every single story we'll never forget. We speak so others won't forget. This is the HomeFront Sitrep podcast. Real talk, real facts, real life. HomeFront Sitrep podcast, where the mission continues.
Welcome, everybody, to a Sunday edition of HomeFront Sitrep. Hopefully, everybody's doing all right and had a great week. I know I did. My week flew by. Today I had to go in and work some overtime, but it wasn't too bad, so I ain't complaining. Beautiful day here in Kentucky. I think it got up to about 80 something. Sweating a little bit, but nothing unbearable, which I'm okay with. So I'm not going to complain because it's not 90 plus degrees and humidity out the wazoo. And as soon as you walk out the door at 6 o'clock in the morning, still dark, and you're already sweating before you get to your truck. So I'm not going to complain. Gunny is traveling. He unfortunately we don't have a show tomorrow because it's our Marine Corps League meeting tomorrow, so we won't have a show tomorrow. But you do get me tonight. Hopefully that you don't care that you got just me and our guest tonight, which we got a super cool guest coming on. He is an Army infantry guy. He does group homes, which not just for veterans, but he does it for sober living, addiction recovery, group homes, which is super cool because if you think about it, you're basically your own tribe. So if you get a group home that's all veterans, right? Um, it's kind of like your own tribe, and you're all going through similar things, whether it's drug recovery, alcohol recovery, whatever. Um, it's super cool because now you got your built-in tribe. And I don't know, we'll find out how long they get to stay there, whether it's transitional living or if it's permanent residency. We'll find that out here shortly. So it's super neat, and I know a lot of people on TikTok that this is something that they're doing. Texas Flex is one. Um, you got Sarge from Nautical Solutions. They're all doing group homes. Dr. James is another guy that is trying to do group homes as well. Something similar to what our guest, Mr. Jim Boad, is doing. So we're super excited about that. A little bit about Jim. He is an Army veteran, so don't hold that against him. We all know that even Army guys need heroes, and that's where we come in, us Marines. uh, but anyway, he's the founder of Shelton Housing First. He's personally launched over 14 recovery homes in the last 2 years, with 8 more on the way. Talk about dedication. So he's already done 14, and he's got 8 more on en route that are coming. That is, man, that's super cool. That's somebody who is taking action and not just talking. He's walking the walk, which is super cool. Let's see. He's got a background in business and boots on the ground experience in building both for-profit and nonprofit housing models. Jim blends strategy with heart, which we can tell because he's got 14 already and 8 more on the way. Definitely got heart there. His step-by-step guide equips aspiring group home operators with tools, mindset, structure needed to create real impact, especially for those in recovery, reentry, or transition, which I think is friggin' phenomenal. I wish Gunny was here because he could hit that phenomenal button. So yeah, I'm super excited about talking with Jim and his mission. So yeah, how was everybody's week? If you're out there watching, wherever you're watching, whether you're watching on TikTok, which is over here on this computer and screen, or if you're watching here or listening, tell me where you're from in the chat there. Let me know where you're watching and listening from. Say hello. We love interacting with our guests that come in, our watchers that come in. So make sure you say hello and all that good jazz. But I'm not going to let you sit here and listen to me bump my gums. So let's bring Jim up on the stage and let you listen to Mr. Jim. Jim, welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing amazing.
Well, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking time out of your busy Sunday, whether you're family at home or, your busy schedule. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us for this next hour.
I'm glad I could be here.
Awesome. So do me a favor. I gave a little bit of an intro of who you are. Do me a favor and introduce yourself to the world of HomeFront Sitrep, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Jim Boad, like you said, I run recovery homes. And my big mission now is, one, I've got a lot more homes in the works, but I really want to expand by helping other people open homes. It's really the second most rewarding part of this to me. One, getting the help for the people that go into the homes, and then getting other people to open homes just really expands the reach of what this can do, because I can only do so many homes. I don't really want to go outside of my area specifically to do my own homes. And it's just been really fun helping other people and watch them succeed and actually not only grow a business, but grow a business that's really making some change in their community.
Heck yeah, man. So let's talk about a little bit about your military service. So you're an infantry guy. When did you go in the military, and any deployments that you were fond of, any that you weren't fond of?
I kind of waved right through. I lived alone. My parents moved away, and I didn't want to move my senior year of high school. So I lived with a bunch of friends.
Nice.
And I barely made it through high school. If I wasn't a reasonable athlete, I probably wouldn't have graduated. But as soon as we were about a month away from graduation, and I got that early morning phone call from a recruiter, and I kind of looked around the house and saw what everybody was doing, and was just like, I probably should talk to this person. So that same day, I signed up in the delayed entry program, and about 30 days after high school, I was on my way to Georgia. So, Yep.
Fort Benning?
Fort Benning.
Oh, yep. Man. Okay. Now,
I didn't really have any guidance. So, like when I went in, I thought I was going to take the ASVAB, and then they were going to say, here's the 3 jobs that you can do. And they were basically like, here's what you can do. You can't be a pilot or a doctor.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what 11 mics and all these different things were. And they started showing me, I said, what's this? And then they pulled out the big, not the CDs, but the big old video records.
Flashcards, yeah.
I got to watch a couple of those. And the only one that really caught my attention was the infantry one. Of course, they showed all the cool stuff. Everybody's jumping out of planes and blowing stuff up.
So I was kind of like, well, my situation is a little different. So when I was growing up, single mom, 4 kids. I knew at a very early age that I was going in the military. I didn't know what branch, but I knew I was going in the military. When I got old enough and I started knowing the difference, because I got aunts and uncles that were in the Army, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to go in the Army?" I was like, "No, man, I'm going a different route." And I went to the Marines and took my ASVAB, scored really high on it. And Gunny Groach was my recruiter, and he goes, "Man, what do you want to do in the Marine Corps? You can pretty much do anything if you want. Just let me know." And I'm like, "Man, I want to be infantry. I want to be best of the best," because that's what I've always heard. Infantry was the best of the best. He goes, "No, you don't want to go infantry." I think he was an air winger. And he goes, "Oh, you don't want to go infantry?" I was like, "Yeah, I do. I really want to go infantry." And sure enough, graduated. And 2 weeks later, I was shipped off to Paris Island. Did my recruit training down there, 1st Battalion. And never looked back. Of course, I moved out of my house when I was 17. I was a senior in high school. I was living with 2 buddies right across the street, pretty much from my high school. And I was a football player. I played football. So during football season, I showed up to school like I was supposed to, did everything like I was supposed to. After football season, I started slacking off and barely graduated. I mean, barely graduated. And joined the Marines, and man, I tell you what, I never looked back. And if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. And it's just those trials and tribulations that we go through that the man upstairs puts us on. So how when you got out of the Army, so here you are. Now, what years did you serve?
I actually went in from 95 till 98. I just had a 3-year contract.
Okay. So 95 to 98. So you were, so I went in 97, so we overlapped just a little bit. But where were you stationed? Your main station?
Right after basic, I ended up going to Fort Drum, New York.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes. I was highly disappointed until I met my wife. Well, soon to be wife at that time. And
how was the winters up there at Fort Drum?
They were nice and cold. good cold weather training.
What unit was that?
Fort Drum was
because that's the 10th Mountain, right?
10th Mountain. Yeah, 10th Mountain.
The 10th Mountain up there. Yeah, because my buddy James was with the 10th Mountain. He was in Somalia during Operation Gothic Serpent and Black Hawk Down, otherwise known as Black Hawk Down for people that are watching and listening. And he was telling me about the winters up there at Fort Drum. He said, "Man, because he's a Georgia boy, and he's like, man, that weather up there during the winter, it was crazy." So I can only fathom how cold it was, because we did our cold weather training up in Bridgeport, California, up in the Sierra Nevadas, and that was terrible. But Fort Drum, I heard, was even worse because you got that lake effect, lake snow effect, and stuff like that. So here you are. You're now. Where were you born and raised?
I was kind of a gypsy kid. I was born in Miami, but we moved up and down the East Coast, and then we ended up when my mother and father. It kind of gets back to my passion for sober living. My parents were pretty heavy drug addicts.
Okay.
And we kind of fled in the middle of the night on a Greyhound bus from my biological father, and then we ended up going over to Arizona, and from Arizona then up to Washington is where I graduated high school from.
Okay, so you're up in Washington State.
Correct, and that's where I'm back now. I ended up coming back to my hometown. So
heck yeah, that's still neat that here you are, you traveled, and you graduated in Washington State, and several years later you decide to go back, and that's the place that you call home now. So that's pretty neat. So you just said that you're parents were drug users and heavily, into that. So that's why it kind of led you in the path that you have gone down with the recovery home. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? Why it pushed you that way?
Well, the story that actually got me to recovery homes is a little different. It's just one that's resonated with me. And I've always wanted to do something in recovery. But when I first started because I've been a real estate investor for about the past 20 years. And when I first started in it, I always wanted to do something, but I just always got caught up in working and making money. So
Okay.
it's just starting your own business, not really coming from a background of business. I don't have family to guide me. Hey, here's how we run our business. My parents were both, workers, because I do have, you'll hear me talk about my father, who is my stepfather, but he's my adopted father. That's my father. That's the man that raised me and really helped form who I am as a human being. So,
Right.
so it's not my biological father who we left.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so I always knew I wanted to do something in this field, but what actually pushed me into this field was COVID. It was I was starting to build my rental pool, and most of my tenants stopped paying rent. And Washington State implemented some really, really, really harsh rules that basically didn't allow a landlord to do anything if tenants stopped paying. You couldn't kick them out. You couldn't report them. So basically there was nothing you could do. And as I would talk to my tenants, that's what they would tell me. Yeah, I don't have to pay rent because there's nothing you can do. And they absolutely weren't wrong. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I was just reading a text message over here on TikTok. All right, so real estate investment, and I know COVID had a really bad downtick on real estate. My wife is a mortgage loan officer, so she's been doing that she was started in banking, and then she's been doing mortgage loans for the last 10 so years. And COVID really did a number on the mortgage in general, like buying houses and selling houses and rental properties and stuff like that. I can see how that would affect your day-to-day operation of what you got going on and your business model. And then you have to transition into something different, because even now, like several years later after COVID, the mortgage, the interest rate and stuff is not back to where it was. So you had to change your model. Is it because, for one, you needed to change your model because it helped fund your other stuff that you were doing with the real estate investing? But I think it turned into a passion.
Oh, without a doubt, I'm all in on what I'm doing now. So
Heck yeah, that's man, that's awesome. So you've got 14 group homes right now, recovery homes, in the last 2 years. And so you're up in Washington. Are you in a big city area or south? Like, where are you at, metropolitan wise?
I'm out right outside of Olympia. I'm actually in a smaller town. There's only 10,000, just rounding 11,000 people in my town now. So
Okay.
we're not a big town. So it's kind of shocking the need that there's that big of a need in such a small area. But there's really that big of a need everywhere. There's not too many places that aren't touched by drug addiction, and not only that, I also do help fill an affordable housing niche as well for people. But it just happens to be people that need help with recovery.
Nice. So now, is this transitional housing or is it permanent housing? What's the model that you got set up?
Well, the model I roll is everybody kind of comes in to transitional, and then I have different places to move them out to. So I've got people that have been with me for around 3 years now. I've got people that come in and they just, it's why I kind of do it that way though, because you kind of got to find out where that person really is. If they're really ready to recover from their addiction, or because some people get in trouble and they have to go through a program and then go to a place, or they just checking boxes, and the second that they think they can get away with something, they try to. But
that's here in Kentucky, what I've noticed, because I've dealt with a lot with the nonprofits that I was involved with and stuff. What I noticed we had our 90-day programs. We had our, DAV had their 90-day program, Salvation Army, what's the other, or there's a couple other ones that do the healing place. They have their 90-day recoveries, right? Where veterans come into there and they go through their program. Well, when they get done with their program, there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
So what happens is the veterans get through the program, and then they go back and living on the streets. Well, guess what? They're worried about where they're getting their next meal. They're worried about where they're going to sleep at that night. They're worried, well, hey, do I got, a tent? Do I got warm clothes? So they fall back in that rut. And then they go back on the drugs. They go back on the alcohol. So, and then they have to go back through the program to try to clean up again. And so it's an endless loop, endless cycle.
Absolutely.
And I think we need more group homes out there for not just veterans, but for everybody that is going through this situation of life. Now there are programs that will help veterans and people get into affordable housing. Like there's HUD Bash for veterans, and then there's Section 8, but there's no middle ground. So if you're a homeless person and you go through your 90-day program and you have no funds coming in, well, you don't qualify for Section 8 because you have no funds coming in. So you fall back on the street. And if you're a veteran, a lot of times veterans are more stubborn when it comes to getting them off the street. Some of them would rather be on the street. That way they're not tied to the system. And we heard that a lot. A lot of times the veterans that we would talk to in the homeless camps, they said they prefer living in tents with other veterans. And it's just like, oh man, I understand that. But then again, it's like, I don't understand that. One of my good friends Brandon on TikTok, he was a homeless veteran for a while, and he would get a house, and be there for a couple weeks, and he just felt like the walls were caving in, and he felt more at home on the street. So when you have this model that with the veterans that are coming in, or a homeless person that's coming into these group homes, do you have like therapy and stuff that is given to the veteran or the resident at the time, or what kind of model do you have set up for them, like classroom training or anything like that?
So where we're at is we actually, in our homes, we don't offer services because all the homes I run are unlicensed homes, but we have great resources. We really get to tap people into a lot of stuff. We can help with so many different things. I know I have two people that help me run the homes. One is operations manager, and then I've got my guy who does all of our, because we do random drug testing and things like that, because you got to be sober.
Right.
And we do find people that fail the drug tests. But so we have a lot of resources that we give them. We have resources to counseling. We help people get phones right away, because there's some resources in town here. We can get somebody an iPad and a phone that same day. If they need food resources or anything like that. We also have resources that help them pay for their rents and things living with us. And we just started a nonprofit, so we can do scholarships for people. So if they don't have money or their funding runs out, that we can gap that. Because I don't want somebody to come and only be able to be with us for 90 days and then not have money and have to go. That's right. Just the worst, because the longer these people can stay in these homes, the higher the reality of them staying sober and being sober is.
So now, do you get people that come from a transitional program, let's say Salvation Army, where they have their 90-day treatment program that they have? Do you get people coming from that to the group homes?
Absolutely. Quite a few of our people come directly from inpatient drug clinics. Because you do have to come to us sober. We're not a detox center, because like I said, we're not prepared to help people with that, because we're an unlicensed facility.
Okay.
So from an operational standpoint, it makes it much more attainable for anyone to be able to start and run these. Because if you have to get licensing and have specialty training, it just puts a big barrier in there for you as the owner to be able to get these open.
So let's say I'm going through a program, right? And I get placed in, I get introduced to you and get placed into your one of your homes. Uh, and I'm with me being a veteran, do you have contacts for like HUD-VASH to help pay for stuff? And then say I'm not a veteran, do you have resources to help get them involved with HUD as well?
Absolutely. Yep. We have resources that run the gamut. And
Nice, nice.
we really focus on men right now. And the main reason we do that is my area has an abundance of women and children services, and men were really left out in our area. Um,
Okay.
we had quite a few women's homes, and we had no real men. The one men's home actually had closed. So
Oh, dang. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of programs, like Volunteers of America, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, the Healing Place. We had. So I live outside of Louisville, Kentucky. I live in a small town. Now my small town has maybe one or two group homes, maybe, and I think we do have a Section 8 area. I'm not really for sure because I don't really, get involved in the community locally here. Most of my work has been in the bigger city. Um, so but I got connected with HUD-VASH because we were building a tiny home community for homeless veterans. So I reached out to the mayor and we got connected with the HUD-VASH people and Kentucky Department of Veterans Affairs. We had everybody involved and to learn about the HUD-VASH vouchers, depending on what part of that so like say Mount Washington where I live might have 2 or 3 HUD-VASH vouchers, where the bigger city, has 20 or 30 HUD-VASH vouchers. So depending on what part of your state that you live in, is how many vouchers they have for veterans or for homeless personnel. I think it's different for like Section 8 and stuff like that for HUD for somebody who's not a veteran. But I know with HUD-VASH vouchers, there's only a limited amount that they can get. So it's a competitive market. It really is.
Yeah.
But our motto, so we had a 2-year program. So we had 29 container homes that we were going to build. It had a community center, had a chapel on this 5 acres. It had a walking path all the way around, and each part of the path there was different parts of the path. So one might be a dirt path, one might be a rock path. Next section might be a concrete path, and the reason was because your life, your stages of life is ever changing. So that's why we had the way the path was going to be set up to be different all the way through. That way it represented your life. And then we had outside areas. So we had the houses set up in like a crescent moon shape. And like I said, it was 29 homes. And we had a big pavilion that was going to sit out in front of each group of homes, and each one of the pavilions, one had a water feature, one had an air feature, whether it was going to be like a flag or something flying in it. One, and then another one had earth, and it was pretty neat how we had it set up. And it was a 2-year program. Um, we had doctors that were going to come in and do like checkups and stuff. We had a professional chef that was going to come in and teach everybody how to cook on a budget. We partnered with a couple different banks that were going to come in and teach banking classes on how to balance a checkbook and all of that, and job placement. But anyway, COVID happened and then we didn't get the funding, and then I left, and then I don't know what happened after I left, but eventually that's something that I want to get back into later on. Once everything's said and done, I'm retired and I can focus solely on that. That's something that I am going to do. So I like the fact that you're doing group homes and doing it that way. So in the group homes that you have, how many? So you got 14 currently. How many residents can you have in each group home?
It really, they're very different just because they're all different homes, and I've kind of got a mix. everything I'm doing now, like the new homes that are coming up, I'm building. So I'm building them specifically for this style. Like I had I had a duplex that had, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So, I'm limited on the amount of people I can put in there, but then I have some 5 and 6 bedroom homes as well. And then the model that I run on initially for everybody is everybody comes in and it's shared rooms. The shared rooms for a couple of reasons. One, economically, it makes the homes work much better. But 2, it does really help when people have some level of accountability too. They can't just hide in their room and hide away and, be going into dark places all by themselves.
Right.
So it does help with that. But then as people kind of progress down the path with us, as you're with us for, 90 plus days, then we start having different opportunities where you can move into some of our other homes. We have homes where it's just single rooms. And then we also have some homes where it's all people that just self-pay. So they've been with us long enough. They've utilized all of the services. Or some guys just get to a point where like, hey, I've got my life together. I've got a car. I've got a job. I want to start taking this burden back onto myself. They don't go for any more funding. And then they're just self-paying for themselves. So
Nice.
Yeah.
So there's a guy in Texas. His TikTok handle is Texas Flex. His organization bought a hotel and converted it for homeless veterans. I mean, that's their mission as veterans. And I think that's something that you would probably would like to get connected with. There's another guy with Sarge from Nautical Solutions that is outside of the DC area, and he's buying some property that he's going to convert into housing for homeless veterans as well. Which I think, and then Dr. James, he's like a nonprofit guru when it comes to fundraising and stuff like that. And that's something that he wants to get into, is buying hotels, abandoned hotels, and refurbing them and turning them into group homes for homeless veterans as well. So I think people are starting to see that that's probably going to be the route to go when it comes to helping our brothers and sisters out there. Now, your model is a little bit different because not just veterans, you do everybody. And I think eventually they might go that route where they're helping everybody instead of just veterans. It just depends on the need in the area, I guess. I would assume.
Absolutely. That's a big thing.
Man, I think, let's see, what else can we talk about?
I love hearing them getting into those sides of things. But the thing too to remember, and one of the big things I help teach people is you can actually do this and not even own a home. I actually help a lot of people rent properties and run this model. So you don't have to be a millionaire or some big investor that can go out and buy, which I love. I'd love to go buy a hotel. I think that'd be great. But you can get into this, and you can get into this with very little money because you can do it as a rental. You have to disclose it. You have to be clear. You're not sneaking people in there. You're letting whoever the landlord is know that this is what I'm going to do. And you will find a lot of people that actually will get behind this. And I have people that not only have they rented from someone, that investor went out and started buying other houses for them to be able to do this in because the model works so well. So
nice.
Yeah.
See, that's pretty. Yeah, that'd be pretty. See, I've always wanted to get into real estate. Like, it's something that I've thought about for a really long time. And I had a first sergeant when I was in the Marines. He was a real estate agent on the side. Like, that's kind of what he did before he joined the Marines, and then he kept this business going. And he pulled us all into a big meeting one time, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to tell you something you need to do." And I'm a young Marine, young, dumb, and I'm not even going to finish that. But he's like, "Y'all need to get rental properties." He said, "Save your money, go buy you a couple rental properties, and by the time you get out of the Marine Corps, you'll be set." Well, I was young, dumb, and I didn't do it. I wish I had, but I didn't. But it's something that I've always wanted to go in and flip homes because construction's my background from high school. That's what I did during the summers, bricklaying, worked for a restoration company, and we would go in and, if a house caught on fire, we would demo it, rebuild it. So that's something that I love doing, is flipping houses and doing stuff like that and making them new again. It's something that I think I would thoroughly enjoy, being my own boss, and then, seeing the fruits of your labor. And in your case, here you got these group homes and you got all these people that you're intertwined with on a daily basis, and you see their progress. Whether hopefully, their progress is always forward and never two steps back. But sometimes we know that happens. People always slip back. I think it's pretty neat that you have a model where you're not just focused on veterans, but you're helping everybody in your community that needs a hand up and not a handout. Because that's basically what your motto is. It's a hand out, not a hand up, or a hand up, not a handout. Had to
and and with that, one of the big things that slowed me down from going more veteran centric in my area is we actually just opened up a veteran village in town. Not me specifically, but
Nice.
one of those veteran villages, just like you're talking about. Amazing walking paths, really cool community. There's still overflow and need, so I mean, I definitely take all the veterans I can, but that one really helped. That was a big step in our area to get that, because we've been lacking. So,
Yeah, I've seen those pop up. Like, so the first one I saw was the one in Kansas City. I forget what it was called, but that was the first one. And then Las Vegas followed suit, and Las Vegas now has, I think, 4 veteran
wow.
villages in Las Vegas. And then up in Philadelphia, they have one. Now, the one in veteran villages up in PA, those are prefabbed. So they build it's an apartment building. It's like 26 units in this apartment building, but they build all the walls, they build everything off site, and then they ship it in and they build it like Lego blocks and put it together. And man, I tell you what, they're amazing. Like, looking at, you would never know that it was a prefab building when they were done with it. It was like, holy cow. So I love that people have gone into this realm of helping homeless veterans and homeless personnel in general, because a lot of the people that are homeless right now, a lot of them have fallen on hard times. And that's the reason why, I know somebody right now that's homeless, that's working 2 jobs, but yet they're living out of their car because they fell on hard times, not because they're not a hard worker, but because they fell on hard time. And economy, with the way the economy is right now, it's friggin' stupid expensive, and it's just like, luckily I have my banker wife upstairs who has been amazing for the past 23 years, and she always makes sure that me and my daughters and our family don't need for anything. Basically, if we need it, we can get it. Um, what's going on in Alabama, Dad? I just want to give him a shout out real quick on TikTok there. So yeah, a lot of these homeless people are in a situation in life where they fell on hard times. They lost their home. Not all of them are drug addicts. Not all of them are, alcoholics. Because I know a lot of alcoholics out there that are functioning alcoholics. They have to be drunk to work, but they still can do it. My granddaddy, I'll tell you a story about my granddad real quick. When I was growing up, every vehicle that he owned had a bottle of vodka in his vehicle. And this is so his road, it was a county road, but it was 2 miles, and his property was 110 acres. He had property on both sides to his driveway. Got pulled over on a tractor on his own driveway for got a DUI on a tractor. And it's just like, so, hardworking guy, went to work every day, came home, did stuff on the farm, and literally was on that 2-mile gravel road that the county never took care of. He took care of, but it was still a county road. Got a DUI on the gravel road as he was grading it. The cop pulled up, because cops knew who he was. They knew he was a alcoholic and stuff. But so what I was getting at is, everybody falls on hard times, and that's where organizations like your business, that you have your business model, where you're giving people a hand up and not a handout. That's what they need, and sometimes that's all they need is to get their life turned around, is that hand up. So I love it, man.
Absolutely. I know it's always tough. I was on my city council here in town, and we're dealing with homelessness, and it's hard because we get to that conversation, and you kind of have two different sides of how they look at these things. They encompass all homelessness in just one category, and whether that is it's either the people that just really need help and fell in hard times, or there are people that are out there that are just in that drug lifestyle, and that's kind of where they need to be right now.
Yeah.
And it's just not deciphering the two, because there's a very big difference between a mother with two kids whose husband passed away and she's doing everything she can to get by, or the guys that are just out stealing to score meth every night and they love that vagrant lifestyle.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, I never think that like it's a glorified lifestyle, but there are people that want to be in that because that's their comfort zone right now.
Yeah. They get that adrenaline rush from going out and stealing stuff and to get that fix. And I'll tell you, somebody said something the other day, and it was dealing with crackheads, and they're like, a crackhead will never say that he can't get the money to get his next fix. And there's a lot of people out here that, oh, I can't do that because it's not what I'm good at or whatnot. A crackhead will always make $1 to get what they want, and that's sometimes we have to look at it that way. That we have to push through, and and stay like. I grew up in Nelson County, Kentucky. Back then, our cash crop was marijuana back then, and I dabbled in it a little bit. And when I joined the Marine Corps, I never went back. I never, everybody said, oh, it was a gateway drug. No, for me, it wasn't. Like, I just did what I did because that's what I knew, But when I got older, it's just like, all right, Marine Corps set me straight on this path and never look back. And there's a lot of people that get into that, meth and crack and whatever else, and they get addicted, and it's a hard habit to kick. It's like smoking a cigarette. Back when we were in the military, I started smoking cigarettes very young because my whole family did. But once I got into the military, I'd smoke cigarettes and I also dipped, and it was those are hard habits to kick. Is nicotine? It's just like, how do you beat those addictions? A lot of people say, well, you can quit cold turkey. Some people are like, you need help, you need assistance, hypnotherapy or whatever not. And so yeah, it's just, I love that you have all the resources at your fingertips so that you can help give these people a hand up and not a handout.
The guys in the house call my girl Shay, who runs them, they call her the Swiss Army knife of resources, because
Nice.
anything you need a computer, here you go. You need a phone, you need some food, you need a place to go, you need a doctor. She's got it all.
Man, that's amazing. So do you have like there's like food pantries and stuff like that like, so if you got in the group home, they can't afford food, which I know with HUD vouchers and stuff like that, that's supposed to help pay for a lot of that stuff. But let's say you got a group home, they got a shared space in the kitchen. Do they all come together and cook a meal and talk about the things that they're going through?
They do. There's really good camaraderie that builds in these homes for sure, and these guys love to cook. So, like I said, they don't actually they never have to hit the food pantries because Shay gets them hooked up with food really quickly. She gets them right in to get them food services and things so they can go buy what they want to buy. And I mean, really, one of the hardest things for me is the amount of refrigerators that I have to buy, because I got to put more than one fridge in almost every home. But these guys, you can almost never walk into one of these homes and not smell something amazing cooking. They love to cook. They're always doing something cool.
Yeah, I think breaking bread with people that are in similar situations, like you said, it builds that camaraderie, that bond. Because it's that you're not alone mentality when you're in a group home, and that's something that we as veterans, we need to understand that we're not alone. Just like the homeless veterans, the homeless people out there, they need to understand that they're not alone. And that's why you see a lot of homeless camps. They like to camp together, because everybody's going through, similar situations, whether they're running away from DV, whether they're running from drug addiction or whatever not. I think it's pretty neat, my friend.
Well, thank you.
So you wrote a book too. I think you got a book on
I do indeed.
on Amazon and other places. So you want to talk about your book real quick?
Yeah, group Home Accelerator. It is just a boiled down roadmap to be able to open and scale group homes. And I mainly focus on like recovery, sober living, but you can take this same model and you can spin it out to elderly care. You can spin it out to, youth phasing out of foster care system. You can do it just for veterans. You can do it just for men, just for women, co-ed. You can do couples and children. I mean, like I have pet homes, so people with pets can come. There are so many people that do not take housing because they can't take their pets. It's a really big deal. I would not leave my pets. I'm sorry. I would sleep outside before I would get rid of my animals because they're my family too. So and that's what the book does. It's just a nice easy roadmap to get you down this path.
Yeah, so that I'd be like you if I was homeless and I had a dog, which is my companion. A lot of times that's their only companion. A lot of times, I wouldn't leave my dog to get a house. If you told me, hey, I got a house for you, but you can't bring your pet. No, this is my child, my friend, my best friend, whatever. I'm not leaving. So yeah, I like the fact that you said you have pet homes where that accept pets, because I think that's something that needs to be out there. It needs to be more prevalent because there's a lot of, even just as a normal renter, somebody who's out renting. If I got dogs and I get displaced from my house, let's say I foreclose, but I can afford rent, and they tell me I can't bring my dogs. I got two little small dogs, and if we're not pet friendly, see you later. I'll go somewhere else. So, yeah, I love that. That's pretty neat. So you got this book, and it step-by-step process of your model. And your model, I mean, you've got 14 homes already and you got 8 more on the way. So it's a working model. It's
Absolutely.
got, so if you're out there watching this now, or if you're watching this later or listening to it, and you want to see his model, so you go to Amazon, or where else can they get your book?
Amazon's the main place I'm selling it right now.
Okay. So you go to Amazon and type in, what's the name of it again?
Group Home Accelerator.
Group Home Accelerator, which I should have known that. And order the book, and then start your business. And like you said, you can be a renter and tell the people that you're renting from, hey, I'm going to turn this into a group home for homeless veterans or homeless people. Now there will be, I'm sure there's some kind of waiver that needs between the renter and rentee, saying, hey, if there's any damage, that the rentee will cover that. And I'm sure there's some legal things that need to be worked in, but I'm assuming your book explains that as well, maybe, possibly.
Absolutely. Yep. My book definitely gets into that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, is there anything else that we need to talk about?
Gosh, I guess the only other thing on that is on my website, grouphomeaccelerator.com. There's also the opportunity to reach out directly to me. We can talk about setting you up on a plan. And then I do offer coaching on this as well. So beyond just a book, which is great, and it's going to give you everything you need, but that coaching sometimes can be the difference maker, just when you can really directly ask questions. If you're trying to rent a home when we're coaching, I will speak with other investors and landlords on your behalf, express to them why this is such a great model, and you will be the best client that they ever rent to. So there's just a lot of other resources and direct help, and that direct, I can take you by the hand and go right through this whole process with you. So
Heck yeah, man. No, I like that. And I love the fact that you say you're willing to coach people along the process to help them, start their own thing, because it's needed throughout the country.
it is.
Unfortunately, we can't count on the government always to help the people in need, because right now they're so focused on everything else but what matters the most, and that's the people here in this country. And I'm not going to get too political because I'll try to keep it off of here, but um, if it's meant to be, it will be, because the man upstairs, he's leading the way, and that's the way I look at it.
Always.
So I- yeah, definitely go to uh, here we go, Mr. Robert Bannis. Welcome, sir. He said, "Great talk, gents." Thank you for watching, Robert. So, grouphomeaccelerator.com. Go check out grouphomeaccelerator.com. Go to Amazon, type in Group Home Accelerator, the book will pop up, or you can search it on Google. It'll pop up because I saw it a while ago when I looked at it. That's how I knew we had a book, because I Googled Group Home Accelerator. So go check out grouphomeaccelerator.com. If you are in the realm of, building a tiny home community for veterans or group homes for veterans, and you don't know what model you want to go with, check out grouphomeaccelerator.com and see if it might be a model that you're willing to try to see if it works, because it might not. It works for Jim, but it might not work for you. So it just depends on the type of personality that you have. So, yeah, Jim, I definitely want to thank you for coming on here and hanging out.
Yeah.
Like I said, your episode will be aired on Reach Across America radio on Thursday nights, 11 p.m. Eastern, this Thursday coming up. So
Right.
that'll go out to millions of people, man. I do want to thank you. I don't know if you got a wife and kids at home, but I want to thank you for coming on here and hanging out with us for this hour.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I could be here. I love what you're doing as well.
Awesome. I appreciate that very much. So I'm going to drop you in the green room. If you got stuff to do, go ahead and do what you got to do. And then I'm going to finish the show. If you're still here when I'm done, I'll pull you back up and we just chit chat afterwards if you're still here.
Okay.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Guys, ladies and gents, how friggin' cool was that? Nope, not the one. There we go. That's the one I want. So super cool. So grouphomeaccelerator.com. Go check it out. Go to Amazon, buy the book if you want to start doing group homes for veterans, homeless people. And you got to think, there's a lot of homeless people out there that have kids. So if you do that, then you got to make sure you got space for kids. If you want to focus strictly on the female population, you need to make sure you line it out just right. So grouphomeaccelerator.com. Check out his model that he's got. He's got 14 homes. He's got 8 more coming in his area in Washington State up there. Super super cool cat, Jim Boad. He's the founder of Shelton Housing First. That's Shelton, Shelton Housing First. Um, yeah, go check him out, man. GroupHomeAccelerator.com. So let's talk a little bit about HomeFront Sitrep, what we got coming up in the next few days, okay, or next few weeks. So, like I said earlier, tomorrow on the 15th, it's the third Monday of the month. I do have my Marine Corps League meeting, so I'll be at that tomorrow. No show tomorrow. I do apologize for that. On the 21st, we have Tony DeMaio with Helping Heroes USA. This is going to be a really, really cool episode. So tune in for that. That's Sunday, the 21st. On the 22nd, on Monday, we have Tony Crescenzo with intelligentwaves.com. That's intelligentwaves.com. And then on the 24th, we have our Tip of the Spear, a Veterans Roundtable, which we do on the last Wednesday of every month. That's where all of us veteran podcasters, Misfit Nation, Triple Threat Vets podcast. You got Tim Thomas from Australia. You got Philippa Bagley from the UK with her podcast, Beyond Journey, I think is what hers is. Conversations with the Vet, the Oath We Took, Meal to Vets. All of us come together and we have a good time. Now, not everybody's on there every month, but we all get on there, and I think we're going to talk about probably the Charlie Kirk situation that just happened. And God rest his soul. I didn't agree with everything Charlie Kirk said, um, but he spoke a lot of truth. And I don't know what happened there. I wasn't there, but it wasn't right. Nobody should ever have to deal with that. Now, prayers to his wife and 2 kids at home. No spouse, no children should ever have to deal with that. So prayers to the Kirk family for sure. Um, yeah. So, and then on the 28th, it's going to be an open session, bumping our gums, Gunny and I, if Gunny's back. The 29th, which I'm super excited about the 29th. Okay. MOA, Military Officers of America. Um, I'll have Brian Kelly, General Brian Kelly, retired U.S. Air Force, coming on the show to talk about MOA and Total Force Plus. We have partnered with them as a media partner for MOA. I'm super excited about this. Um, he's a 3-star general, retired, 3 stars. Moving on up, just a little bit. But anyway, so we got MOA coming on. Then that rounds out September. I'm super excited. Gunny's, like I said, he's in his busy season at the present moment in time. So it's gonna be hit or miss if he's gonna be on the show or not. But it is what it is. We'll just keep on plucking away. And then we're gonna do something different at the end of the year. So normally we record episodes for the last couple weeks in December so we can take family time for the holidays between Christmas and New Year's. Um, we're gonna do a couple of uh, recaps. So we're gonna recap guests that we had in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and we'll also do a fourth quarter as well. So we're gonna record those soon. At least 3 of them we're gonna record soon, and then we're gonna have to record the other one later on, so we can have 4. So the last 4 weeks in December, so like the 21st, 22nd, 28th, and 29th, will be recorded episodes of recapping our year here with Homefront Sitrep. And then we'll be celebrating 3 years. 3 years as a podcast on in February. So super excited about that. That's a milestone because Pod Fade is a thing out there. A lot of people start a podcast and have a great idea, but they figure out how much work it is, and because it's a lot of work, it's not easy. It definitely is not easy. You got to be a people person. You got to reach out to people. A lot of people don't like reaching out. If they get rejected, they get dejected. When they get rejected. So it's a lot of work doing a podcast, and I want to thank all of our faithful watchers, faithful listeners, whether you're watching on TikTok, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on the 3 Facebook pages, the LinkedIn, wherever you're watching at. Thank you guys for coming on here every Sunday and Monday and watching and hanging out with us, commenting. So I love it. You guys are amazing. This right here, I'm not going to say it as good as Gunny, but don't let your dark days win. You are not alone. Somebody wants you to show up tomorrow. This right here, this is mine. In the silence of your struggles, remember, though unseen, you are deeply held in the hearts of others. You are not alone. Reach out. There are people going through similar situations, and be the reachee. Reach out to somebody. And I'll get to that here in a minute when I'm talking about it takes a village. This right here, hashtag be someone stranger. Guys, ladies, gents, listen, we as humans, we're more apt to talk to a complete stranger than the ones we love the most. So if you're out and about and then you see somebody looks like they're having a bad day, go up to them, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And if they give you the red flags, "I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living the dream," ask the next hard question. How are you really doing? But be ready for that conversation. It could be a 5-minute conversation, could be a friggin' 8-hour conversation, but you have to be ready for that conversation. And then it takes a village. This is going back to finding your tribe, finding your community. It takes a village to make things work. You need to find people that are very like-minded to you and build your community. Be somebody's community. Be somebody's village. Gunny was talking about his friends where they pick up their phone, they go to their contacts, scroll through, and then hit, and then just pick up, and then call that person. It might be somebody that you haven't talked to in 6 years. Reach out to them. If they don't answer, do it again. Scroll through, click, call that person. You never know. You might save that person's life, or they could be going through a hard time and they need you to hear them. Don't try to fix it. Just listen. Big shout out to our partners, Heroes Media Group with Adam Bird. Go check out heroesmediagroup.com. Then you got Reach Across America Radio. So that's www.reachacrossamerica.org/radio. Homefront Sitrep is on there Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern. That's 11 p.m. Eastern on Thursday nights. I will be live on air Thursday morning at 11 a.m. or roughly right around 11 a.m. So if you listen to Reach Across America Radio, I will be on there. Go check out our partner with sameflagsameoath.com. That's sameflagsameoath.com. Hi, Mumsy. How are you, Mumsy? We have a shirt. It's called Homefront. It's called Marine It Down. So if you go to sameflagsameoath.com, go to co-branded, find Marine It Down. That's our co-branded shirt with sameflagsameoath.com. It's a wordplay on Keep It Simple, Stupid, Marine It Down. It's written in red crown. At the end of the year, we get 25% of all sales. What we're going to do with that is we're going to take that money. We're going to put all these nonprofits into a randomized wheel, spin that wheel. Whoever it lands on is getting that check. We're not keeping one penny of that check. And the same thing with Elite Engraving. If you go to homefrontsitrep.com and go over to merch, there's a link to our shirt. There's also a link to this hat, which you can get different colors, but it'll be this red logo. We get 20% of each sale of the hats. And we're going to do the same thing with the nonprofits. Spin that wheel, whoever it lands on gets it. So go check out homefrontsitrep.com, and you can see all these great nonprofits, business owners, veteran authors, singers, songwriters. They're all listed on there. I need to update it, which this winter coming up, I'll have a little bit more free time at work when I'm sitting in the office. So I'll be able to update the website even more then. I want to talk about our partners with challengeamerica.com. Megan and the team there at challengeamerica.com are amazing. If you're a veteran and you love arts, anything art, leatherworking, metalworking, playing the guitar, learning how to podcast, go to cavarts.org. It's strictly for veterans. It's a veterans community. You go there and you can join all these communities, learn how to do leatherworking, how to play the guitar. The guitars for veterans. There's cyber chapters there. They have a whole community there. So go check out cavarts.org. But other than that, guys, it's about that time of night, and I always hate leaving you guys because I feel like my mission's not complete. But it is about that time. Like we always say on Homefront Sitrep, stay safe out there. We got your six. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this show.
Suggestions and comments are always welcome.
Cannot wait to have another great show with y'all.
Don't forget you can find HomeFront Sitrep on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Stay safe out there. I got your 6.